welcome back. So what we're looking at today is lesson 13, expressions with rational numbers. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to be looking at solving problems involving the 4 operations with rational numbers. All right, so true or false, rational numbers. Decide if each statement is true or false and be prepared to explain. So for this first one, we have negative 38 and 76 hundredths times negative 15 and 6 tenths is negative. So if we multiply a negative and a negative, do we get another negative? No, so this is false. Negative times negative is positive, always. 10,000 minus 99,999 is less than 0. Is this a true statement? Yeah, most definitely. 10,000 is much smaller than 99,000, and so it is going to be less than 0 because it is going to be a negative number. All right, we have 3/4 times negative 4/3 equals 0. So if we multiply these, 3 times negative 4 gives us negative 12. 4 times 3 gives us 12. So we have negative 12 over 12. That's 1. Well, that's negative 1. So is that 0? False. Negative 12 over 12 equals negative 1, which does not equal 0. All right, and the last one, we have 30 times negative 80 minus 50. Now, does that equal 50 minus 30 times negative 80? What do we think? Can we switch around the order in a subtraction problem? Nope. So this is false. Excellent. All right, so these are a few things with rational numbers. We can't switch around subtraction, so we can't change the order in a subtraction problem. It completely changes the problem. A negative times a negative is always a positive. And yeah. And then with the others, know your subtraction. If you take one number minus something that's bigger than it, you're going to get a negative number. And if you take opposite reciprocal fractions, you don't get 0. You get negative 1 when you multiply them. All right. Next that we're going to look at is near and far from 0. So for each set of values for A and B, evaluate the given expression and record your answers in the table. So I'm going to zoom this in so it's a little easier to write. All right, our A value is negative 1/2. Our B value is 6. So negative A, which means we're taking what our A value is, and we're multiplying it by negative 1, is going to give us a positive 1/2. Negative 4B, so we're taking negative 4 times 6, which is going to give us a negative 24. Negative A plus B, which means we're taking our negative A from right here, which was 1/2, plus B, which is 6. So we'll end up with 6 1/2. A divided by negative B. So we're taking negative 12 divided by negative 6, which is going to give us a positive 1/12. A squared, so we're squaring the 1/2, so 1/2 times 1/2, a negative 1/2 times a negative 1/2, is a positive 1/4. And then B to the 3rd power. So 6 times 6 is 36, and 36 times 6 is 216. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing, but our A and B values are slightly different. So A is 1/2, so when we do negative A, we're going to get negative 1/2. We have negative 4B. This was negative 6. So negative 4 times negative 6 will give us a positive 24. Negative A plus B. So now we make this negative. So we have a negative 1/2 plus negative 6. So that'll give us a negative 6 1/2. a half divided by negative b, which is a half divided by positive 6. So that'll give us a positive 1/12. A squared, a half squared, is still going to be a quarter. And negative 6 cubed, well, negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36, times negative 6 is going to give us a negative 216. All right, and the last line, we have negative 6 for our a value now, and we have negative a half for our b value. So negative a is going to become a positive 6. Negative 4b, so we're taking negative 4 and we're multiplying it by a half. So we're going to get a positive 2. Here we're taking and making 6 positive and then adding a negative half to it. So we're going to get 5.5. Here we're doing negative 6 divided by a positive half, which is going to give us a negative 12. A squared, so negative 6 squared is 36. And b to the third, so we have a half times a half, which we knew was a quarter. Then we're going to take a quarter times a half, which is our negative half, which is going to give us a negative 1/8. So there is our table. Now, what we're going to take and look at is when a equals negative a half and b equals 6. That's the first line up here. Which expression has the largest value, smallest value, and is the closest to 0? So which of these is the largest value in here? That'd be our b to the third, which equaled 216. That's the largest. Now, what about the smallest value? So negatives are smaller than positives, whether they're a fraction or not. Keep that in mind. That'd be our negative 4b, which was negative 24. And which is the closest to 0? Well, that would be our a divided by negative b equals 1/12. That fraction is the closest. Okay, let me zoom this back out a little bit so we can see all of it. All right, for 3, when a equals a half and b equals negative 6, which expression, so now we're looking at the next one, which expression has the largest value? So largest value meaning positive, so that's going to be the negative 4b this time of 24, which has the smallest value. Well, that's going to be our b to the third of negative 216. And which one is closest to 0? Once again, that's going to be our a divided by negative b equals 1/12. So there we have that. We have one more to compare. So for this one, we're looking at the last line of our function or of our table. So we want to know once again what has the largest value. So looking at these, we've got 6, 2, 5.5, negative 12, 36, and negative 1/8. So our largest value is this 36 of a squared. So a squared equals 36. Now we want our smallest value. So the smallest one here would be our negative 12, which was the a divided by negative b. And then the closest to 0. So the closest to 0 would be our negative 1/8, which was b to the third. All right, so this is examples of using rational numbers and doing different mathematical operations to rational numbers. So rational numbers are our most common numbers. They're numbers that can be wrote as a fraction. So all whole numbers are rational numbers because we can write any whole number over 1. And all fractions are obviously rational numbers because they're already in fraction form. So these are just different operations, and it's showing us what happens when we do different things with these positive and negative rational numbers. So rational is your keyword for this lesson. Rational. is your keyword for this lesson. All right, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Have a great day.